All right, welcome back to the Attack the Rack YouTube channel. This is the Attack the Rack Daily Lineup Show. Today is Tuesday, September the 24th.
Guys, every family party or social event needs something special. Bubba's Bounce House Rentals LLC can do that for you. They provide inflatable bounce houses and water slides on top of great service in the West Michigan Lakeshore area. Call Bounce Master Sam at 616-485-0257 today and mention Attack the Rack to get $25 off your next rental. Also, find Bubba's Bounce House Rentals LLC on Facebook. Bubba's Bounce House Rentals. All we rent is fun.
All right, guys. So yesterday, NFL-wise, we just talked about the Lions game, and we told everybody that we were going to get into some more NFL this week. And guys, the thing that stands out to me is just the parity amongst the league. You just do not know week to week who's going to beat who. Anyone's got a chance in any game is what it seems like to me. Which is fine as long as the games are still quality. I feel like that we are not getting the greatest quality of football right now in the NFL when you look at some of these scores.
I agree. And even the ones that we kind of get on TV, because you only get a couple of them, it just seems like they're not like the ones we get are just not that great of games. And it makes it tough just because they're kind of boring sometimes and just makes it a little more difficult. I do like the thing that maybe it's more balanced, maybe it's not. But at least it kind of feels that way of teams that you would think on paper just shouldn't win against teams that are better on paper. So I just feel like it's a weird kind of balance. I'd hate to be a bookie. That'd be tough.
Yeah, I think the games, again, we got to remember this is really like the third preseason game for most of these guys this past week, right? So I bet going forward we see, even though I think there's still going to be that occasional team that maybe beats a top tier contender, I think we're going to start to see this level off.
Okay.
We'll see better play. Again, I think a lot of that plays into whether, who's injured. Um, the Rams are down to like hardly anybody to throw to. 49ers missing all sorts of pieces. So I think some of this is going to depend on obviously injuries, depth. But I think after 3 weeks now, we should have a pretty good idea going forward what things look like. And I bet we don't get as much parity as we've probably seen in the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at some of these scores. You got the New York Giants, who a lot of people thought was maybe as bad as the worst team in the league, certainly bottom 2 or 3. They go out and they get a win over the Cleveland Browns. So now, I mean, the Browns obviously aren't necessarily great. They've been taking a lot of heat, especially with the lack thereof from Deshaun Watson. You look at the Houston Texans. They get one touchdown and get destroyed by the Minnesota Vikings, a team that a lot of people were thinking was also going to be probably bottom tier team this year. They're what, 2-1, right? Or are they 3-0?
Who's that?
The Minnesota Vikings.
I think they're 3-0, aren't they?
Yeah, 3-0. Great play from quarterback Sam Darnold, who someone that just has been destroyed in the media. You've got the New Orleans Saints, who put up 90 points in their first 2 games, only get 12 here in week 3 against the Eagles. You've got the going into the week 3, 2-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a huge win at Detroit last week. Baker Mayfield looking great. Denver Broncos, who they're playing, who, again, another team that a lot of people thought bottom tier team, they go and they beat Tampa Bay at Tampa Bay. It's just it's crazy.
Yeah, and now that I'm looking at it too, New York wins on the road, Green Bay wins on the road, Philly wins on the road, Denver wins on the road, Carolina wins on the road. Who was another one? Baltimore won on the road, Detroit won on the road,
Ravens.
Kansas City won on the road. So all of those teams winning on the road. When you think that NFL kind of has that home field advantage, similar to like the college football, which I think is like, I would say college football is the biggest difference of home field advantage just because of student section atmosphere and there's not a ton of road tickets.
Right.
I did see a tweet last night about it was like at the Los Angeles Rams, and it was from like San Francisco fans being like, thanks for giving us another home game. And then it was like a video from the stadium in LA, and it was red. The whole, like, it looked like 85% of the stadium was San Francisco fans. I know they lost, but it's just that it's just such a weird feeling. Like, they're on the road, most of their fans are there, and it feels like LA Rams didn't have a ton of fans there. So I just feel like the home field advantage just isn't really as strong, or maybe I just think there's home field advantage, but it just doesn't seem like it's that way at all.
I mean, just watching the Lions.
Yeah, same thing.
I mean, that was probably like a 50-50 crowd.
Yeah.
And that's a credit to the Detroit Lion fans out there, or just how maybe poor the Phoenix or the Cardinals are. But that game was like it was probably almost a home game for the Lions, it felt like.
Yeah.
Travel well.
Yeah, and in Tennessee this weekend, tons of green. I felt like everywhere I was.
Because hold on, you were in Tennessee. You were in Nashville, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just felt like it was Packer fans everywhere. Maybe they scheduled, I don't know if NFL fans just kind of like schedule those like vacation kind of things where it's like, oh, hey, we play in Nashville. Let's just go down there for the weekend, which could be, but it just felt like everywhere I turned, I saw Packers people everywhere. And in the airport, you know those big hats that came out?
Yeah.
The big hats? There's a dude in the airport all packered out with a huge, massive Packer hat. It's like,
I bet those type of fans, they travel every weekend to the away game just because they feel like they're part of the team.
yeah, but I don't know. It's pretty crazy.
Well, yeah, you mentioned the Packers too. I mean, unbelievable. 2 wins here with Malik Willis as their quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, this last one, he was going back to the team that cut him, right?
Yeah.
So, payback. Take that. Boom.
That is pretty cool.
Do you know where he went to college?
Liberty.
Liberty University.
Yeah. Pretty good non-power 5 mid-major. I don't even know if they're a mid-major. Are they even are they in the whatchamacallit division?
What are they in? I don't even know what conference they're in.
Yeah. But anyway, unbelievable. Jordan Love goes down. You figure the Packers, they're kind of going to be struggling to get a win in those 5-6 weeks, whatever it is that he's out, and they get 2 wins. Now, granted, yesterday was against the Titans, but as you mentioned, it was on the road.
Yep. Lots of road wins yesterday or Sunday.
And again, just suspect quarterback play. I mean, look at the was the Steelers beat the Chargers. You know, Justin Herbert comes back, tries to play, gets hurt. Obviously Justin Fields plays pretty well. You know, Steelers 3-0, Chargers 2-1. It's just hard to figure out. You got a rookie like Bo Nix taking charge and take control, and then you got a rookie like Caleb Williams who maybe the stats pads the stats a little bit, but makes two huge errors that probably negate that type of play. So,
yeah,
and then
Fields was really good yesterday. 25 of 32 for 245, a touchdown and a pick, but rushed for a touchdown as well.
Yeah, that is really good.
Yeah,
I've been saying that since day one.
Yeah. And then Big Mo too. How about the Minnesota Vikings? Sam Darnold. I mean,
again, just tough to figure out. You as a fan, you know, because like you just said, Sam Darnold was getting nobody thought he could play quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
And here he is leading the way for the Vikings, and you know, you don't know is that it. Is that a X's and O's? Is it a coaching? Is it a system? Is it just the people around him? Is it a little bit of growth on his part? I mean, there's so many things that probably go into, especially the quarterback, because his hands are on the ball every play when they on offense. It's so hard to tell what's going to make a good NFL QB, I bet. And you know, you put the ball in the hands of a rookie like Caleb Williams, and then your job is maybe in question if you're the head coach
Yeah.
because it's tough to win games with a rookie QB. So you better do it exactly right and have all the right everything else right around them. Otherwise, you put yourself in that bullseye.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Darnold threw for 4 touchdowns yesterday to 4 different people.
Wow. That's called spreading around.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, hey, another quarterback getting his first start of the season, Andy Dalton. Bryce Young got benched after week 2. Carolina Panthers, a team that we've been a little bit critical of this year on the program here. Again, they go on the road, they get a win. But how about the play of Andy Dalton? This guy just won't go away, keeps popping up here and there, doing a little, again, a little here and there, but putting up these great numbers out of the blue. 26 out of 37, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah, slinging that thing to wide receivers that nobody knows besides Adam Thielen.
Yeah. Who he's
But he got hurt, I'm pretty sure. Didn't he get hurt?
in the game?
Yeah, I
Well, he
think
was
he caught
walking
a
off caught that touchdown pass, right, and was walking off a little gingerly.
Yeah, I think he was out the rest of the game after that as well. So, I mean, yeah, it's impressive for Andy to come out and do that. I think obviously that situation's rough just because with Bryce Young, and I don't think he's ready. And Dalton's kind of been around the block. He's kind of that veteran guy. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Joe Flacco thing.
Yeah.
Like Flacco was out and then he came back in and won a bunch of games. And
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's that same kind of feel.
It is like this is going to be deja vu for us guys, but I think this is going to be his best performance all year.
Okay.
Dalton, right? I think he's. I don't know if there's anywhere to go any more up trajectory for Dalton.
True.
Can he play much better than that? I don't know. Again, I think he probably helps him maybe win a game or two here and there. But in the end, he's probably not the answer. And so you really got to figure out, is Bryce Young the answer at some point if you give him some more time, which I think always has shown in the NFL in the last few years. If you give a quarterback some time to grow, he may change from how he looks his first year, second year, third, fourth. And so they're going to have to figure out that if they're going to give Bryce Young that time or if they're going to go in a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question is Bryce Young's, does he have a better chance of growing by taking a step back, watching, learning more, not just being thrown in, thrown out there, thrown into the fire? Or, even if Andy Dalton does give him a better chance to win right now, is Bryce Young get better by just keep on playing, even if, you're not going to get wins?
Yeah, that's such a hard, I don't know, because I guess like growing up and watching NFL, it felt like the quarterbacks that had a lot of upside would get drafted and then sit out, wait their turn, and learn from the guy that was ahead of them. And then when their name's called, then they're like ready to go play. And I feel like him just being thrown in the fire right out of college, it's a completely different game than college football.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard for these rookies to just get thrown in the fire when the game is like completely different. You're playing against all these guys who rarely make mistakes on defense.
Yeah.
Like the only mistakes they make are just like complete breakdowns. So I feel like it's just hard for those college guys who could get away with a lot in college, scrambling, rolling out, throwing up some prayers that your 5 stars is going to go pull down. Like it's 5 stars.
You don't have those 5 stars around you all the time.
Right. Or
Especially
there's 5 stars everywhere on defense,
Yes.
So it's just such a hard adaptation. And I feel like a lot of the quarterback play is just the preparation stuff as well. How you take care of yourself, good teammate, not a good teammate. I feel like all that stuff has such a major play in the NFL compared to college, to where it's like, hey, I'm the best, and we just got to go do it just because I'm the best.
Yeah. And you got the best guys around you if you're at a good program. I mean,
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the hard thing too, and you brought up some college football stuff. We're going to transition into college football here in a second, but the other thing is so many of these quarterbacks, and you saw it with Justin Fields, as rookies, they're coming to these horrible teams with these horrible offensive lines, and they've got no protection, they've got no time to think. The game already at the NFL is so much faster already, and then you're throwing them out there behind an offensive line that's just horrible.
True. And the difference of just like grown men versus like, I guess, semi-grown
19,
men.
you're thinking 19, 20, 21-year-olds at the college level, and all of a sudden you're going against 27, 28, 29-year-olds who know what they're doing, who
Yeah.
have been through the ringer.
Yeah.
Ain't no joke no more.
Yeah. Yep. So I think it's a big change for those college guys to come in. I mean, some are obviously successful and some aren't as successful, and it's kind of based on the team you get picked by. If they're a dumpster fire already, it's kind of hard to flip around a dumpster fire in 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's move on to some college football. Mostly we're just going to talk Michigan, USC. Big Mo and I obviously are Michigan fans, as we've mentioned several times. Trent is a fan of the rival Ohio State. Ohio State, Trent, another big win or scoreboard wise, at least against Marshall this week.
Yeah.
Well, still a little bit tough to tell, probably for sure what you got there just because of the competition.
Yeah. And like, plus when you watch the games too, in the pregame stuff, all they talk about is like how loaded Ohio State is and and all that kind of stuff. And then they go play 3 below average teams. So it's really hard to tell. Obviously the running back duo is great with Judkins and Henderson. And then the wideout they got, the freshman wideout Smith, is a stud. But I think the Will Howard change is nice.
Okay.
I was not a huge fan of McCord to begin with last year. But yeah, I mean, decent test this week with Michigan State on the road. So that will be, and it's a night game. So East Lansing will be buzzing. It should be a pretty good test.
Buzzing, on fire, who knows?
Yeah, if they win, they're going to burn couches. We already know that.
As long as they don't pass out by then, by game
True.
time.
That might be the best bet for Ohio State with those students over there at East Lansing. But yeah, I feel like we'll see how they do. I think it's a good test. Big Ten matchup, which are usually pretty good games for the most part. So I think it'll be a good match, depending on weather as well. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, it's another victory for the Bucks.
If the Spartans are on the come up, their quarterback's got to learn to take care of the ball.
Agreed.
Tries to do a little too much once in a while, but I do think they're on the come up. I like what they're trying to accomplish. So we'll be cheering on the Spartans.
They had a ton of injuries this past weekend against Boston College. They had a lot of guys that were out. And they seem to stick with Boston College on the road, who's a pretty decent team in the ACC. So I think they're doing the right things. Michigan State is, at least for brand new everything. All coaches are brand new players. But yeah, it should be a good Big Ten matchup early in the season too. I feel like Michigan State, Ohio State usually don't play each other right away.
You're right.
But yeah, it should be exciting.
All right. Well, Trent, I do know you did watch the Michigan USC game because we were texting back and forth a little bit during the game. So you'll still obviously be able to chime in here. But Big Mo, let's start with you. Obviously, if people have been watching the Daily Lineup Show, been watching the podcast on Saturday mornings. In fact, this past Saturday morning, your halftime adjustment was run the ball and don't stop running the ball. Quite possibly Big Mo, Sharon Moore maybe did watch the podcast Saturday morning before kickoff because Michigan ran the ball 46 times, 290 yards, 159 of those from Kalen Mullings. What a game he had. Donovan Edwards as well. 14 carries, 74 yards. He was what was thought to be, this was supposed to be his year, his breakout year playing behind Blake Corum. And now it almost looks like now he's in the shadows of Khalil Mullins.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Mullins came on last year as the third back, and I thought he did an amazing job. Like he runs hard, and turns those legs a little bit like Blake. He's probably even more athletic than Corum was, I thought, last year. Um, so no surprise here that Mullins really is probably going to have to be more of the featured back. I do think Edwards is probably going to end up being a better pro than someone like even Blake Corum.
Okay.
Mullins, I'm not going to hold off yet on him. I think Edwards can do some things at the NFL level that are probably his game is more tuned for the NFL level.
Okay.
But hey, congrats to Michigan. Congrats to coach. Maybe he did tune in. They did pound it. I do think naming Orgy the starter allowed, just maybe you have an extra runner on the field. So instead of people being able to focus maybe on Mullins or Edwards, you do have to concern yourself with Orgy as a runner. You do not have to concern yourself right now with Orgy as a passer. And my next advice to Coach Moore would be the next 2 weeks, let him throw it around a little bit.
Okay.
Take some chances on some deep balls. He's going to see some one-on-one coverage, and you're going to have to let him.
Uh-oh. Popular guy.
Well, Trent, one thing too, and I think Big Mo is getting to this. Michigan's going to have to at least be able to pass the ball a little bit to keep defenses honest. I think they got incredibly lucky with that long run on that last drive by Mullings, a 50-yard run, because playing behind late, if you can't throw the ball, your chances are slim to none.
Yeah, and he broke like 4 tackles to make that run. So, I mean, I don't know. If I were to game plan against Michigan, I would spy the quarterback, play man on the wideouts, and just put everybody in the box and force him to throw to some one-on-one coverage stuff. I'm not sure who the wide receivers are for Michigan because they rarely, like, they're just out there to have 11 guys on the field.
Yeah.
And as a wide receiver, it's got to be kind of frustrating. But if they're like such team guys and team players, then they're obviously happy with how things are going. But if you're like a 4-star wideout and you're at Michigan, I wouldn't be very satisfied with like what's kind of happening just because they don't get the ball.
Yeah. I mean, they only threw the ball 12 times.
Yeah. For 36 yards or whatever it was. So I think,
yeah, a lot of those were into the, to the flat or screen passes.
Right. So I think they gotta give him a chance, I guess, to throw it. But if they clearly don't trust him to put it in the air. But I think teams are going to completely switch defensively on how they're playing, and just pack the box and force the wideouts to get open in one-on-one coverage. And we'll see. But they've also, Michigan did, like, credit to Michigan for ton of first downs, running the clock, keeping USC's offense off the field, and just kind of controlling the pace and the tempo of the game.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of how their season's going to have to go. Try to get an early lead and just milk that clock away. And if you score, you score because the defense looks pretty good. They put a ton of pressure on USC, and he felt like he was getting hit all the time. So yeah, I mean, it's a good win for Michigan for sure. And they needed it. It just kind of felt like it was crumbling a little bit. I mean, they kept winning, but it just felt like it was just not in a good spot. And I feel like the confidence will get there, but the quarterback situation is I would say it's still kind of a mess, just because there's no, like, they're so one dimensional at the moment. So I think they got to make some changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I did hear something recently this weekend. I think after the game that maybe the Jack Tuttle, the third guy in the depth chart.
Oh
I
yeah.
think he's hurt right now. But I thought I heard someone mention that he might have actually been the one who was getting some looks, who they thought might be the starter, but he ended up getting hurt and has been out. So, um, again, here's the thing. We say, like, again, I really believe Michigan's got to let Orgy throw it a little bit the next few weeks just to get him ready if he's the future.
Yeah.
Um, if not, um, I think you're just setting him up for failure because so hard, I think, to duplicate what they did against USC and what they did against like Penn State last year. Like you can win some of those games like that. I don't know if you can just run it 50 times and beat a team like Ohio State or even Oregon because I'm not sure you can like control the clock enough to slow down those offenses
Yeah.
from scoring.
I mean,
And
as long as you're playing with a lead, maybe. The
then
second
you
fall
probably
behind.
have a little bit more of a shot to do it. No,
Yeah.
exactly. No, I'd agree. So.
Well, and you mentioned Tuttle. I've heard the name Jaden Davis thrown around a little bit, the freshman too. So, um,
Yeah,
but
we're not privy to any of that. But again, I like Orgy out there, but I guess until you give him a shot, how do you know what he can really do? Like even again, I watch these other games and these quarterbacks are throwing the ball over the place, and I don't know what their in numbers are, but they seem to they make a play, they miss a play, they make a play, they miss a play. And I feel like as a fan at Michigan, sometimes we like that they miss a throw and it's like then we run it for another 12 times. And
Yeah.
then we try to throw it again after that. And you wonder why they can't get any rhythm. Um,
well, and
but
too, they're playing without Loveland, so hopefully he'll
yes,
be back. That'll maybe we'd have seen more pass attempts if
Loveland's there, yeah.
Loveland was on the field. Someone of his.
Well, with the running game going, they should be able to get back to some play action stuff, some rollout stuff. Again, I don't even know how often they rolled Orgy out to give him some space, like to a wide side of the field
Yeah, true.
on Saturday.
Yeah.
Again, when you're running the ball, well, you should be able to do some play action stuff. Um, I like it to see him do a little bit more read option stuff with him. I thought one time in the fourth quarter he could have pulled it, and he had a huge open left side of the field. Um, so I think there are things they can do better to get Orgy more comfortable in the passing game and even use his legs a little better.
All right. All right, guys. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, NBA, 29 days away.
Yeah, NBA.
Get excited.
Yeah, training camps I think are in full swing. So
Full swing. Joel Embiid just signed a new extension.
yeah, what was it?
But I think it was 3 years, 193 plus. million.
So 60 a year, that's like Curry too. 60 for that. He got 1 year extension.
And is he won a playoff series yet?
No, they're going to get bounced by the Knicks this year. So it's what a mess.
Goodness gracious.
They did add Paul George though.
That is true.
But then again, what has Paul George won?
Nothing.
True.
Not a dang thing.
Also true.
Maybe it's his year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Embiid's a big old baby too when it comes to some of that stuff. I don't know.
So dominant, but it has not yet performed probably on the biggest stage,
Yeah.
which should be hopefully his next step.
Yeah.
All right, guys. One more show this week. Coming back tomorrow. We'll see you then.